Here we have a little video on finding square roots with Excel. So the simplest way to do this is just use the built-in square root feature, and that's SQRT, abbreviation for square root, of whatever number you want to take a square root of. So if I wanted to approximate the square root of 47, I'd say square root of 47. Notice we've enclosed the value we want to take the square root of in parentheses, and when you press enter it will compute or estimate that value for us. Another way to do this, I could have a value in this cell, 47 again, and say the cell next to it we want to find the square root of that first value. So I could say equals SQRT parentheses, and I could type 47, but a more interesting and useful thing to do is say go ahead and click on that cell. I could also, by the way, have just typed SQRT and then put A1 in parentheses, and what that would do is compute the square root of the value in A1. So when we go ahead and press enter, notice we get the same number, that same approximation, 6.86 roughly. The interesting thing about this is you've essentially written yourself a very small computer program. Now you could put 25 in this cell, and notice the cell in B1 changes. The value of B1 changed. And if I click, if you can see this, if I click on B1, it still has this same value. It just says SQRT A1. So it's going to find the square root of the value that's in A1 and put it in B1. And so that's all that's happening. So we could continue that and say 49. If we type 49 here, we get the value of 7. So again, it's kind of like your own little program. Now what you were asked to do is go ahead and create a little table of values and do this multiple times. So I'm going to show you a couple other nifty, useful things about Excel. So I'm going to overtype what I've got here and just delete these values, delete these contents. Now we wanted to find the square roots of a whole series of values from 1 to 25, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 25. So now we're going to make a little bit better use of some of the powers that are in Excel. So we'll type number at the top of this column and square root at the top of column B. And now to go ahead and fill in these numbers, I could type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I could continue that all the way up to 25. Or I can use a neat feature called autofill. And what that's going to do, if I select these 5 values, and it doesn't have to necessarily be 5, but I select these values, and if you go hover over the bottom right-hand corner, you'll notice that that cursor, that marker changes. And once you're over that corner, click, hold, and drag that down. And all the way down, I'll go to the 26th row. That will give me 25 values since I started at 2. And notice what that did. That just continued the pattern. We were counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it completed 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 25. So now to find the square roots of those values, go over to cell B2, and I'll type equals SQRT, square root of A2. Close the parentheses and hit enter. And once again, I could continue that if I wanted. I could go to cell B3 and I could say that equals the square root of, and watch this time, I'll type it rather than click it, A3. And we could continue that, or we could say, you know what, let's just continue this pattern and fill that all the way down. And there are some nice checks in place. If you know that the square root of 25 is 5 and the square root of 16 is 4 and the square root of 9 is 3 and the square root of 4 is 2, you at least have some inkling that this is correct. And it turns out that it is right. All we did there is complete that, and if you look carefully, at the contents of those cells by clicking on one. So just pick on the value 11, and if I click on the corresponding cell in column B, you'll see that that contains the square root of A12. Well, what's A12? In A row 12 is 11. So the square root of 11 is approximately 3.32. And if we want to format that a little bit more consistently, what you can do is select all of those values, and I believe we said round or display these to 2 decimal places. So if you select all of those, go over here where we adjust the decimal point, or you can format it according to a number, and right there under number, display 2 decimal places. There it is. So that will now display all of those values to 2 decimal places as we were instructed. Hope that helps, and talk to you soon.